why do you think that Jamal Murray's been shooting the three ball as well as he has been the last 6 games or so?
And I think it even probably goes back further than the last 6, but I just think the aggression, the confidence, looking for it. I think the way he's been starting games as of late, he's coming into the game starting with a really aggressive mindset, not easing his way into the game, letting the game come to him, which I think always bodes well for Jamal, and more importantly, bodes well for our team.
How's Peyton doing his recovery? Saw him playing a little bit after practice yesterday, obviously, but he was in that brace. Just where is he kind of at in the recovery?
Yeah, he's still got some hurdles to clear. Heading in the right direction. To your point, some of our guys that have been injured, been able to play in some of those small-sided games after practice, 3-on-3. I don't know, maybe in another 7 to 10 days, kind of see what happens after this road trip when we get back after the Boston game, kind of reassess everything. But he's definitely making progress, and hopefully he'll be back sooner rather than later.
When you're watching film breaking down Milwaukee, what are 1 or 2 things you guys have to control tonight to get this win?
Well, I could give you a lot more than 1 or 2 if you have the time. I mean, Giannis is such a unique player. There's a reason he's an MVP candidate every year, and the list of things that he's number 1 in the entire NBA is just pretty impressive. He's number 1 in fast break points per game at 5.3. He's number 1 in paint points per game at 20.5. He's number 1 in free throw attempts per game. He's number 1 in drawn 3-point plays when he gets fouled. He's just a remarkable player, and he by himself puts so much pressure on your defense in transition, in the half court. And then what makes him really hard to guard, at least in my eyes, Scott, is that you have a guy like Giannis who can control the game in transition in the half court, dominate the paint. So you have to show him a crowd. No one can guard him one-on-one. And they have shooting everywhere around next to him, with Damian Lillard, with Taurean Prince, with Brook Lopez, with Kuzma, with A.J. Green off the bench, Gary Trent. So we always talk about having a multiple effort mindset. Well, tonight that really is put to the test when you have to guard a guy like Giannis, give him the attention that he deserves. But hey, Damian Lillard can also score 50 points. He can also take over a game. He's got 5-point line range, and they have other guys that can also contribute. So the Giannis, package, Damian Lillard, making sure you're giving him the respect that he deserves defensively, and just flying around to try to get out to all the shooting that they have around those 2 players.
Turnovers didn't go away as an issue in that Indiana game, too. So how much more is it important to kind of just avoid some of the self-inflicted wounds, just in terms of what that's going to lead to with Milwaukee's break?
Yeah, I mean, always, whenever you go on the road, I think good teams don't beat themselves, and obviously, tough place to play. You turn the ball over, they get out and run. It's a highlight dunk. The crowd gets into it. So we have to try to, play at the pace that we play at, but be disciplined within that, and not make sure that we're not getting ourselves caught into just a pickup game where our turnovers are leading to easy points, as you mentioned, like we had in Indiana. So we just got to value the basketball, work for a great shot, get back, and try to make them have to execute against a set defense as much as possible.
You mentioned all the things that Giannis is leading the league in, and I look at the other side with Jokic and all the things that he's leading the league in. And I don't know if you'll indulge me because you've never had to coach against or game plan against.
We're not trading.
I don't think I have that power to offer that anyway. But as you look at preparing for these 2 guys, is one guy, do you feel like, more challenging to prepare for than the other? They're both so unique.
Well, I would say they're both really, really, really hard to prepare for. And I've said it to our media in Denver many times, I would hate to have to game plan for Nikola Jokic. And I think the one thing that, if you're looking at the 2 players, obviously one is one of the greatest athletes to ever play the game. And Giannis, obviously. I'm sure if you were following me there, you look like Nikola might be in the same conversation. But I think what's really elevated Nikola's game this year is the 3-point shooting, and the percentage, but also the volume. And for him to be, you look at Nikola, he's top, I think, 3 in probably 4 major categories, which is incredible for any player to do that. So, yeah, I'm sure Doc, watching film, getting ready for a guy like Nikola, says, how do we stop this guy? And I know, I slept like a baby last couple nights. I got up every 2 hours and cried. Think about how do you stop this team? because you give Giannis the attention he deserves, and the amount of shooting that they have out there is just makes it really hard. But Giannis is a great player, as I mentioned earlier, and there's a reason that he should always be in the MVP conversation because of the impact he has on both ends of the floor.
One of the categories you mentioned Giannis being number one in is most three-point plays. I'm curious now that he's in year 12, have you noticed an ability for him to finish with different finesse, touch around the rim in ways that maybe he wasn't doing 5 years ago, 10 years ago, where if you do foul him, he can drag it out one more step and finish with a finger or something like that?
Yeah, well, it's an incredible stat. I mean, so Dame Lillard is third in terms of fouls drawn on jump shots, and Giannis leads the league in N1s. And, just look how big and strong Giannis is. And what happens a lot of times when you see a player as big and strong as a Giannis, they forget how skilled he is. He's a great athlete. He's strong. Well, you're doing that player a disservice because I know for a fact that Giannis works on his game. He works on his craft, and he's gotten better in all those areas. So it's not just big and strong. It's big and strong and skilled and has the finesse and the ability to take contact, and he knows it's coming. He gets to the foul line almost 11 times a game and finds a way to still focus and concentrate and finish a lot of those plays. So it's definitely a challenge for us to make sure that we are trying not to let him get those easy N1s and try to make him earn them from the foul line.
One more.
What have you seen from DeAndre just in terms of the durability standpoint? I know it's not like he's playing a ton of minutes, but for him to have kind of solidified that backup center spot throughout the season to be kind of as steady as he's been within that rotation, despite getting up there a little bit.
Yeah, well, you have to go back to last offseason, and when DeAndre came back, in September, you could tell that he was really dedicated and disciplined the entire offseason in terms of, I'm going to come back in the best shape of my life. And the longer you get in your NBA career, the older you get, that becomes more and more important. When you're younger, you can just kind of I'll be able to get in shape quickly. And DeAndre knows, as a 17-year vet, he dedicated himself to being in the best shape of his life, and that's been maintained throughout this season. And we need that. He's been really impactful for that second unit, giving them an edge, some size, some physicality, rim protection, and hopefully he can continue to play at a high level for us.
And Michael, with the recent news that Greg Popovich won't be back this season, just wondering, such a strong presence, everybody knows Pop. What's it been like this season, not having him sort of in the league and on the sidelines, and maybe you had a sense to, his absence?
Well, when we played them, I think as coaches, we all get so involved in your own bunker, day to day, game by game, and sometimes you have to force yourself to come up out of that. And, for me personally, I can't speak for any other coaches, but the impact that Coach Pop has had on me and my family and my career, from a trip that we shared in Argentina many years ago, to helping me get a job in Cleveland with Mike Brown and Danny Ferry, to helping me get a job in New Orleans with Monty Williams. And, the guy has been a confidant, somebody that, even though I never worked for him, has always had my back. So I try to stay in touch with he and his daughter just to let them know that we are all thinking about him, and we all know that the game is much better when Coach Pop is on the sideline, one of the greatest to ever do it.
To a lot of people on the outside, he seems like the meanest gym teacher you might have ever had, but what should people know about him that maybe, you don't know if you're just on the street?
He is the meanest gym teacher you ever had. And I like that. No, just such an interesting person. And I think the reason we hit it off when we spent time down in Argentina years ago was because we talked about everything except basketball, and I think getting to know a guy like that and talking about history and, all of his Russian studies and his career path and everything he had gone through and done in his remarkable life. But, he's got a great sense of humor. He's very, very caring. Beneath that gruff demeanor that some people may see, there are countless stories of Coach Pop doing wonderful things for a lot of people in his community. And as I said earlier, from players to coaches to fans, NBA basketball is a hell of a lot better when Coach Pop is on the sideline.